In this video, I'm gonna break down the myth that you need the most high-end camera to start making money with a camera. I don't know who's lied to you, but you don't need a $6,000 FX6 to start making a living with videography. The fact of the matter is that we live in the lowest barrier to entry age ever in history. And there are so many options for you to start taking videography seriously with great high quality content that you can charge good money with today, right now, with less than $1,000. So if you're looking to get your first camera today and you wanna make the right purchasing decision, I'm gonna give you a list of things you wanna make sure your camera has and things that you don't really need to start making great videos and finally start pursuing that dream you've been waiting for. What's going on? My name is Andres Tagliaferro, but you can just call me Tag. And on this channel, we talk about all things content creation and entrepreneurship. So if you're looking to become a better content creator, videographer, photographer, graphic designer, and make money doing it, then you're gonna wanna subscribe to this channel right now so you see all of the videos we've put out already and all the videos we're gonna put out on a weekly basis. So go down, hit the subscribe, hit the like button. I can't wait to see your face in the comments. We simultaneously have the cheapest cameras that give you the best looking result, while also living in a culture that tries to encourage you to get the newest camera every year, to get the highest quality camera no matter what. And that's what I call the toxic camera YouTube culture, okay? Which I try not to be a part of, and while I probably will make videos when I inevitably upgrade my gear just to talk about it, I'm simply a videographer, and I wanna tell you about how you can start on your journey to get to where you wanna be without breaking the bank. Look, it all starts with your first purchasing decision, and that's your first camera, your first kit. So I wanna talk about the most important things that you wanna make sure you don't forget, and the things that aren't so important that everybody tends to believe is. So let's get right into it. The first one is the myth or the idea that you need a full frame camera to get good videos. Do not knock the APS-C censored cameras, okay? There are so many great cameras under $1,000, under $2,000 if you're willing to stretch a little bit above the $1,000 price mark that are APS-C sensor, meaning the sensor is smaller, meaning that the bokeh it's not as blurred out in the background, right? Because of the sensor size. And it also means that the image is a little more cropped in, so you don't get as wide of an angle, and they're not as good in low light because the sensor isn't as big. It doesn't allow as much light to come in. These are three little drawbacks that mean that you can buy a camera with those three little drawbacks for way less than you would buy a camera like this one, the Sony a7 IV, which is a full frame beast using a G Master 24mm, which is an expensive lens as well. You don't need this. You can shoot this video and make it look just as good with a Sony a6700. Which is less than this one, with a Sony ZV, whatever, whichever one you want to use. Like, there's great cameras that you can do commercial projects with that won't break the bank. I'm actually gonna put a list right now on the screen of some beautiful APS-C censored cameras that I think would be worth looking into if you haven't thought about it. Get that myth out of your head that you need a full frame camera to get good videos. That's just not true. I actually made a video called How I Turned a $500 marketplace camera, like pre-owned buy, into $40,000 in profit. And in that video, I talk about the Sony a6300, which I bought for 500 bucks, and I was able to get the biggest clients I ever had. I actually shot one of my coolest campaigns, the Dallas Mavericks campaign, with a Canon 80D on a really cheap stabilizer, like one of the mechanical ones. It wasn't even a gimbal. And I did that back in 2018 and 2019. I worked with them consistently with that setup. So the idea that you need to have some full frame beast mode camera is just not true. And really the truth is that all you need is good ideas, a good concept of cinematography, meaning like understanding composition, understanding how lighting works, understanding how to edit to kind of beef up your videos and make them look more professional. These are things that to me are more important than the full frame price tag. So take that out of your mind right now if you don't have more than $2,500 to spend on a camera. The truth number 2 about your cameras is that your camera body is not as important as your lens. If you're gonna invest any money, if you're gonna invest over $1,000 on something, invest in a really good lens. A really solid camera that doesn't even shoot 4K, 1080p with a really amazing lens is gonna create a way better image than an 8K camera with a really crappy lens. Okay, you need to understand how to allocate your funds in priority, and I think that unless you need things for specific projects, like if you know that you have a client that's gonna need 4K footage for whatever reason, if you do a lot of talking head stuff and you need to crop in, you probably wanna get a 4K camera. But if you're doing a lot of social content where that doesn't really matter and it's all vertical videos, like, you don't need a camera that shoots 4K. I was using a Canon 6D Mark II for a lot of the gym content I was creating back in Dallas, and nobody cared because I had a Sigma 24-70 f2.8 lens with a Promis filter that made everything look cinematic and beautiful and sexy. So I would recommend, before buying a full frame crazy FX3 thing, invest in some glass. Pick a manufacturer, pick Sony, Canon, Nikon, or Panasonic, anything, and invest in glass first. You don't need, you can cheap out on the body, you can buy a used camera body, which we're gonna talk about in a second, and invest more on really good quality lenses, you know, and some ideas would be the native lenses for your camera, getting something with f2.8 or lower in terms of zooming. I will always recommend the Sigma 24-70 f2.8. They just released a new version of it, which is sick. This costs money, right? So I know this is kind of a budget video, but the idea of budget is that you use your budget on the right things. So again, if you're gonna spend money, look at that lens. I still have it. Prime lenses are a great place to look at for low aperture, really great buttery lenses that are gonna make a great image. Any 35mm, 1.4, 1.8, any of these lenses, getting like a really good set of lenses and investing into that first with a not so new body, I think is a better allocation of your budget. Okay, tip number 3 when it comes to finding a good affordable budget camera when you're starting is don't look at new camera bodies. Try to buy in the pre-owned market. Like I said, I made a video about this before, but if you are looking to get a camera body, it's your first time, don't buy a new one, buy a used one. You would be surprised how many cameras are being sold for way under retail on things like Facebook Marketplace and eBay. If you haven't considered this option because you're just bougie and just want the new one and you just want the unboxing video or whatever, I guarantee you're not in a place to take advantage of that. You gotta pay your dues a little bit if you're new, you know what I'm saying? So instead, look at getting a used Sony a7 II. That will get you buying, get you started, and get you working. You know, maybe look at like a Canon EOS R, you know, something like that used. These cameras you'll find under $1,000 used. And some Sony a7 IIIs where you can still shoot 4K. You'll find sub $1,000 on Facebook Marketplace and things, but I know that that's maybe not something that we might think of when we first think about buying our first camera. You know, we want the new box, we want the feeling of, you know, feeling like we spent a good amount and we're investing in a camera. It's not worth it, okay? If your goal is to make a profitable business and be able to make more money to get the better gear, then just invest in a pre-owned camera, a used camera. And those I would recommend. Look at Facebook Marketplace, your local marketplace. Look there first. That's probably the best tip I can give you. Buy used bodies. It's not like glass where it could have some like weird issues. You know, bodies can take a lot of time, a lot of usage before they stop working. And so I think it's probably one of the best things to buy used. And like I said, I've bought cameras used before. A lot of these people, like, they just bought a camera for one project because they didn't want to rent one, and now they're selling it. Look in the pre-owned market, that's the best thing. The last thing I want to tell you is this. You need to buy a camera that specifically meets your needs. Okay, if you want to be a sports videographer where it's high action and not really controlled environments and things of that nature, you're gonna want a camera that does that best. If you're gonna do a lot of talking head studio stuff, you're gonna want a camera that does that best. I think there's this thing when it comes to buying stuff online or buying cameras specifically, where we feel like we need a camera that does everything perfectly. That's not true. You need a camera that does what you do the best. I recently just bought this Sony a7 IV. I'm gonna make a video about it. But you know, some people might be like, why would you buy that camera? The truth is, my wife and I shoot weddings often, and we've had a kit of 2 a7 IIIs and I have a Canon 6D Mark II, and we needed a good new camera that can do things like shoot high quality video, have that beautiful new Sony sensor, and we needed a camera that could also do really high quality photos because my wife does photography for these events. For me, I didn't need the FX3 right now. What we needed was a camera that upgraded both things enough, or I could use this for my YouTube, I could use this for the client shoot I'm on right now in New Mexico, and we could use this for weddings, for photos, photography. It's gonna be her main camera right here. That's a very unique, special need that if you just go online and you look up what's the best camera to buy, for video, you might say, okay, well, let's get the FX3 and invest all that money in it. But that's the truth that I want to talk to you about today, is that you don't need the camera that does everything perfect or the camera that everybody deems is the best. For me, this camera is best for me right now. For you as a beginner, an APS-C censored camera that can shoot 4K. It doesn't really need low light stuff because you're gonna do YouTube videos with it anyways, or maybe you're gonna work on course material for influencers or whatever. Like, look at the checklist of things that you need and look for that in one camera. One camera will be able to do all that you need. One camera will be able to fulfill your every need for your specific niche and what you're trying to do. And if you don't have a list for a specific niche or for something that you want to focus on, then you probably shouldn't be looking at buying a camera right now. You should probably be looking at your business strategy. You should probably be looking at your future. What do I want to do? If you do a lot of interview content like this, you don't need a camera that shoots 60 frames per second 4K. You need a camera that shoots really good 4K 24 frames per second. You can get a Sony a7 III for under $1,000 on Facebook Marketplace. There are things where you can give and take, and I think that that is the best way to look at investing in a camera when you're just starting and you don't have the budget for it. That's the encouragement I'm gonna give you today. Take a look at APS-C censored cameras. Don't just write them off because they're not full frame. Prioritize lenses. The body isn't as important as the lenses. Buy pre-owned bodies. You don't need a brand new spanking camera to start. Don't look at the camera that does everything well. Look at a camera that does exactly what you need perfectly well. And you know what? If you don't know what that looks like, leave a comment. Let me know exactly what you want to do, what you want to be best at, and I'll try my best to reply with a suggestion. I'm super active in the comment section. If you don't know that already, well, go drop a comment and talk to me. Ask me any questions. I'll respond in a timely manner, under an hour. I'm like that, you know what I'm saying? I'm trying to build a community. It's more than that. So drop a comment, join the community. And if you enjoyed this video, if this video helped you and it helped you make a better decision today when it comes to your capital and your money and what you want to do forward, then consider liking the video and sharing it with a friend. And if you like the topic and the subject matter and who I am, my personality, I make videos about this stuff all the time. So make sure you subscribe. And last thing I'm gonna say is, if you haven't watched my video about how I spent $500 on a used body Sony a6300 and made over $40,000, then that's gonna be on my face right now. And I think you would love that video and it would really help you. I will see you over there. And remember, no matter where you are in your creative journey, stay grateful. Peace.